Hey, what's good? Bernard Taylor is an EMT, a firefighter, and will hopefully be representing C4 explosives in Congress after the 2026 elections. We talk about his passions for improving his community, about fixing education, and we even get into his MMA experience, reminding folks that basically we ain't afraid of doing the right thing. He does MMA. You guys better leave this man alone. This is my conversation with the U.S. House of Representatives hopeful Bernard Taylor and C4 Explosives. Before we get into it, remember to go to coconutjustice.com to get you some clothes that I think would look good on you. Let's go. All right. We are back with Bernard Taylor. Now, let me set the table a little bit. With this episode of the podcast, what I'm trying to do is prove to you guys that people from California and people from Florida do have things in common and they can get together to make change.
Yes, sir.
So, first, that was C4 Explosives. Welcome back.
What's cracking, man? I'm a permanent resident now.
So then what I wanted to do was introduce Mike, aka C4 Explosives, to the man that's going to be representing him in Congress. You guys put your hands together for the truth. Bernard Taylor.
Yes, sir.
Boy, that takes me back, man. That takes me back to getting kicked in the head.
Hey, that was one of the things that made me fall in love with you and your platform. Can you tell the people about old boy that was talking some mess and you put in some flashback videos?
No, so you know, like people get on the internet these days and just be talking. Like I don't remember this growing up. Like a lot of people were way more reserved because you just didn't know what anybody was carrying or what anybody knew. You were a lot bit more respectful with how you approach people. And now people just get on the internet saying all kind of goofy stuff. And I saw that video and so many of my friends stitched it, and I was just like, let me go ahead and throw a stitch on here myself. I was just like, hey man, it's been a while, but I'm always down to spar if you want to get it in. So posted that video. Obviously, you know, I got blocked after I posted the video, as a lot of other people who responded to him got blocked. But yeah, man, it comes a point at time like some again, people are just getting way out of pocket with this internet stuff. Hey, temper down your expectations a little bit.
Yeah, there's someone outside that phone.
Exactly, man. Like I said, I done stepped into them rings, man. It ain't no joke. I don't underestimate anybody. I try to, respect everybody, and because again, I don't know what I don't know, and I don't know what they know. So I'm as respectful as possible, especially here in Florida. You don't never know what somebody carrying in Florida. So I definitely make sure I am respectful to each and every person. Now, I'm a big guy, but I ain't crazy.
That's one of the first things. Like after I saw that video, I was like, who is this Bernard Taylor? And I saw a picture where your bicep was as big as my thigh. I was like, ain't no way in hell.
I shared it, man, and I was like, man, this is crazy. And I was like, wait a minute. Carlos told me, he's like, I'm talking to Bernard Taylor. I'm like, who? And then he's like, the guy from the video. Did you know he's trying to represent you? I'm like, no. I was like, oh my goodness.
And then I was like, look at these arms. I bet you if there's a building on fire, Bernard will take the building by his bare hands and shake all the people out of it.
Absolutely, man. No, I tell all my guys when I'm on the crew, it's like, hey, bro, when I'm with you that day, you ain't got to worry about coming out. We both coming out one way or another. Don't ever worry about that, man. If I got to toss you on my shoulder, we getting out of there.
Bernard smash.
Absolutely, 100%.
So to let everybody know, Bernard on his his day-to-day, he's a firefighter, he's a paramedic, he's that dude. And his arms are as big as your waist. He's that dude. So what was it that got you into being a firefighter and a paramedic and all that stuff?
Well, in my 20s, man, I think I'm like most young people in their 20s, most Americans in general, just trying to find your way, especially as someone who started college and then didn't finish because I tried to do like every young man wants to do and pursue that NFL career. Obviously tore my knee up, and that dream died very quickly. So I spent my 20s kind of roaming around life, figuring out what I wanted to do. I probably worked at every type of job you could imagine. I done been in the food service business. I done been out there landscaping. I done been in construction. I done been in the hotel industry. Anything that somebody has done to be out here making a living, I probably have some expertise in it. I wound up working for this chiropractor as his assistant. He kind of took me under his wing to kind of show me the ropes, because I've always been into fitness and natural healing. So he took me under his wings and was like, hey, you can come work in my office. I'll teach you how.
I bet you that chiropractor thought, yeah, I can get him to grab someone by the skull and by the ankle.
Absolutely.
Straighten them right out.
I think it was more so for security than anything. But no, he took me in there, and so I worked on a lot of firefighters. I worked on a lot of firefighters and paramedics and EMT. They would come and get their bodies, get their realignments and everything. And they would see me and they would always be like, hey, you should think about becoming a firefighter. And I remember the first time someone asked me that, I was like, I'm not running into no burning building. That seems counterproductive. But after about 6 months of them just wearing on me and kind of telling me the benefits and telling me why I would be a good fit and how it's the best decision they ever made, I looked into it, and I looked into the career and how it combines everything I wanted to do, whether it's working in the healthcare field and helping people, and at the same time it gets me back to that sense of camaraderie and working as a team like I had when I played sports. So it was just the perfect match of everything I loved in life. So went to EMT school, went to the fire academy, and I fell in love and been doing it ever since, man.
Nice. I think that's important. That the thing that you said was that, like, when you play sports, you understand that it truly takes a village.
Absolutely.
You could be the best quarterback in the world. If you don't have Bernard Taylor watching your back, it ain't gonna happen for you.
Hey, you ain't got that man to pick up that blindside blitz. You're gonna be out.
Boom. That's what I'm saying. And so that's where we can get into the weeds a little bit, because I do want to talk about like your come up and stuff like that. But Florida being, what was it? You were telling a story on your Instagram where you were a blue dot in a red sea, something like that.
Yeah. These days is how it feels.
Yeah. So like, what's going on in Florida?
So over the past, like I say, first I'm 36 years old. So I want you guys to realize that Florida has been under a Republican supermajority legislature and governance since 1999. So for the past 25 years, almost 2.5 decades, going on 3 decades, we have been ruled by Republican majorities. And over that time, Florida, which was purple at one point, and it had some solid blue counties, whether it be Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach, over in the Tampa, Hillsborough area, Central Florida, where Orlando was. Basically, all the big cities in Florida were solid blue. Like, you can depend on those for Democratic bases. Over this time with this Republican supermajority, they have really made a concentrated effort and focus to remaking this state into what it is today. With the gerrymandering that happened back in 2022, with each governor and legislature slowly working at the lines to make it, again, to make this state more favorable to their voters, removing voters off voter rolls without them realizing, us as a party in general, not really engaging with the voter base here, because they just figured we got this on lock, and letting the other party come in and literally state claims in places like Miami-Dade. I was born in Miami, and to see Miami be a red county now instead of a dark blue county is mind blowing to me. But kudos to them, man. They saw where this party was lacking in terms of actually focusing on the people here in Florida in these strong districts that they thought were strong. And we are where we are today. Even in my district where I am now, Florida 21, before this representative we have now, the previous representative we had here was a Democrat. St. Lucie County was one of those blue dot counties that you can really depend on. And the southern part of the district, which is northern Palm Beach County, that's always been blue. It's solid blue. It hasn't really been affected that much. But again, with the way things have been gerrymandered here in my district, especially, you have the low voter turnout in St. Lucie County, which was again solid blue. But when you don't give people someone to believe in, when you don't motivate them, when you don't engage with them, they don't turn out. Martin County, where Mike lives down there, where C4 lives, he knows, he can attest to that, man. That's 90% solid red, man. You just want to make inroads in a place like Martin County. You won't never turn Martin County blue, but you definitely want to make inroads. And then you have your base down there in the southern part of the district, which is northern Palm Beach County. So again, with the way they gerrymandered and kind of rigged the lines to incorporate the voters that they want in these districts so they get the turnouts that they want, the low voter engagement and the actual, I want to say not targeting and basically forgetting about your voters here and your base here in the state has allowed for us to be where we are today in 2025.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of it here, and there's a lot of gentrification too, because like especially in Stewart, they're on over on MLK Ocean Boulevard, they're pushing people north towards Fort Pierce, and a lot of people from up north started buying three flats and apartments out in Golden Gate, and they're really jacking up housing prices and again pushing them out. And then the gerrymandering, and it's disgusting the way it's getting manipulated all over the country. But right here, just in these three counties alone, it's taking a toll, and you see it just in the community itself.
Absolutely, like you said, man, they are getting their voters in places where, again, we're not forcing you out, but we'll make it so expensive that you can't afford to stay here. We'll increase property taxes that you can't afford to own your home anymore. We will make it so that you have to move out of here. And that's not just even here in our district, that's all across the state where you have predominantly minority communities. The people, everybody knows Florida is oceanfront property. So when you're living here on the Treasure Coast, like this is the next quietest kept secret that's not a secret anymore. You see a lot of very, very wealthy people and a lot of people with a lot of big business interests starting to migrate to our district. I can remember just as far as like 10 years ago, this place was still pretty much a secret. Like nobody really knew where Fort Pierce was, what the Treasure Coast was. Now with even where I live here in Port St. Lucie, you can see the expansion of this place. I live in an area now that used to be nothing but dirt and hills. We would come back here and like do four-wheeling and stuff. And these are nothing but developments now. As you go north to Fort Pierce, they're starting to gentrify that area and move the residents that have been living in those homes for generations. And with that secret being out of Fort Pierce having such good access to the beach, and it's not as expensive as Miami-Dade or Palm Beach County or Broward County. These people with this money are trying to come in and, like you said, gentrify these areas and get access to that easy beachfront access and beachfront property. And it's going to be up to myself over the next year to kind of get that message out to people to basically be like, hey, this is your home. You want to protect your home. If you want to protect the interest in your home and actually make your home better, you have to fight for it. Yeah. The reason why places like Fort Pierce and Indiantown and the East Stewart area and these areas that serve our communities, they don't ever reinvest into these areas and actually work on the infrastructure and work to serve these people. They keep these areas impoverished. They keep these areas looking run down so that the people can eventually move out and their people can come in, buy it for cheap. And then next thing you know, we look like the Riviera of the North. You know what I'm saying? 100%. Just because of that area. And we've seen that same playbook we just run over and over in all different parts of the country. And then now it's making its way here. And it's up to us with our local politicians and state politicians to continue to fight for it.
Yeah. And that's the game, right? The wealthy people, they make rules. They pay politicians to then help make the rules that keeps them in power. And I want to start making the distinction. There is white privilege, and then there's powerful privilege.
Absolutely.
White privilege happens to all these hillbillies. You get out of police tickets. You don't get jacked up when you're walking through the mall, whatever. And then there's powerful privilege that happens exactly this. What you're saying is they let this chunk of land look run down and it's all messed up, and they don't want to invest in it until they're getting their money out of it. And that's how they do it. They push you out. They don't care. They don't care if you've lived there for 3 generations. They don't care. They see the money, and they see that an opportunity to then build bigger things. And they're making your home a smaller and smaller location. You're going to start living in apartments and stuff like that. And that's the game. You have to wake up to what's happening. So when people are saying white supremacy and all that stuff, it's a layered thing. The folks that are like we'll say the grunts, those are the hillbillies that they send out, and they have all the MAGA stuff, and those are those hillbillies. When I'm talking white supremacy, I'm already past that. I'm talking about the people that are buying land and that don't give you a loan for your house so you can keep your house.
Exactly. 100%. That's my challenge here over the next year, is to break the mind of the people here in this district. This district is Republican +7, which is way better than people actually thought. So I don't know, for whatever reason, people thought this was like an R+20 district, and that's just not the case. That district is actually winnable with the right strategy. And when you look at it, the whole message and the framework has to be it's not a black versus white thing. It's not a black versus Latino thing. It is literally a have versus have not. It is the people on this side of the railroad tracks versus the people on that side of the railroad tracks in the beach. And right now, the people on that side of the railroad track that live in the beaches, they're making all the policies. They're making all the decisions. They are influencing all the elected officials, from the local to the state to the federal officials here in our district. And you are wondering why your life isn't improving on this side of the tracks. Is because they're not investing in your life. They're using your vote to make sure that they take care of the people on that side of the track with all the money. And once we come together and realize, the working class and the middle class and the underprivileged here in our district, that there's actually someone that wants to work for us on this side of the track, as opposed to the people on the beaches and the other side of the track, we can actually have some progress and make a better life for all of us here. But again, it comes to getting that message and getting through to not only the base we have here, but those independents that live here, the non-party affiliates that live here. And like I say, just making inroads with some of the Republicans here in this area. It can be done, but again, it takes the right person to be able to give that message and be able to be relatable and break it down so that people understand. Like,
yeah, we've seen it a lot. I'm sorry.
No, the policies and the people, again, that you have been voting for since 1999 have not worked for you. Like, one of the questions I always ask is, you, especially lifelong Floridians in this area, who complain that their life has just been getting worse and worse and worse, ever since, let's say 10 years, over the past 10 years, their life being worse and worse and worse. And I always break it down like, well, you've had different party be your president, so you can't really blame it on one side or the other. The only constant thing you have had is your legislature here, your local representatives and your state representatives have been one party since 1999. But you keep putting those people in charge, expecting them to do better. So the definition of insanity, as we all know, is keep doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. So when I hear those people and I hear them complain, I try to have empathy, but I'm like, you keep jumping. Okay, it's like being a crab. Like, I can't help you if you keep jumping into boiling water. Like, I keep trying to take you out, but you keep jumping back in. Like, eventually I'm just gonna let you cook. I can't do nothing for you.
It's like Mr. Incredible said, I just cleaned up the place.
Exactly. Exactly. Like, it's only so many times I'm gonna put my hand in the boiling water to get you out before I'm just like, all right, I gotta keep my hand. You just gotta do what you do.
You just, what is it? They say, if you make the world dummy proof, nature makes a better dummy.
Absolutely. 100%. I fully believe that wholeheartedly.
So Bernard, so with that being said, now when these protests are going on, right? It's not black and brown people that are at these protests. Not a lot of them. There's a lot of old, rich white people, and they're upset. So is that giving you hope that you can make waves out here?
Absolutely, man. Especially when I'm protesting, I go to these rallies, and I'm expecting to be nothing but like cars, like cussing us out, and giving us all the one finger salute and all that fun stuff. But it's the majority of people like honking and cheering and in support. I've been in protests in all different parts of this district. So I've been in one in Palm Beach Gardens. I've been in one in Stewart, right there off US 1 in Cove Road, not Cove Road, US 1 in Canner, right over there in that area. And then I've been up in Port St. Lucie, and each one of those protests, that the sheer support, and then on top of that, the sheer number of people that are coming out there, like it gives, like when I'm out there interacting with people, you should see their response. Like, I didn't know that there were this many Democrats in the area. That's because you guys, we're not connected. Like we feel overwhelmed. We feel like this is an uphill battle, like it can't be won. But when, again, like I told you guys, the numbers, when you actually look at the numbers, it is a lot of people here that are willing to, vote for their best interest. It's just getting them engaged and getting them to get activated. And if you don't have the right candidate to get people activated, to get people motivated, to make sure that they're registered to vote, to make sure that if they're mail-in voting, that they refile to get their mail-in votes, to make sure they show up for early voting, to make sure they show up on general election day. It's all about being a lightning rod, man. You got to have something that makes people say, hey, oh yeah, I got to get out here and vote for today. I got to go out here and make my voice heard today. If you don't have a candidate like that, we're going to just continue to perpetuate the cycle that we've been on here in this district. So I have a lot of hope. If nothing else, man, this thing with social media and all the responses I've been getting have given me tremendous hope that there are people out here that are willing to see change and want to see change. So we still got a year to go before the primaries. So we're going to see. We're going to make it happen, though.
Hey, man, we're out here for you.
I appreciate it, man. It's gonna be fun. I truly believe it's gonna be fun. We got another person that is filed to run as a Democrat as well. So as of now, there will be a primary, but my goal and my hope is that there's so much overwhelming support and the people are galvanizing and rallying behind me that the other person decides that they want to drop out or seek another type of office. Then we can just focus on running against the incumbent, because the way Florida's set up here, it's not set up to make you succeed if you go through a primary. The primary is literally in August, and then 3 months later you have your general election. So you got 3 months to try to build a case against the person you're running against, after just building a whole entire case against the person in the primary. So the primary process here kind of puts us at a disadvantage. So you always hope that there is no primary and people can just be like, nah, we want that guy or that girl to have this shot, and then you can just build that case all of next year. And that's my goal for the rest of this year, to just build so much overwhelming support that they're just like, all right, we just got to get behind this guy.
Yeah. Let me ask, well, I can ask both of you guys this, but more specifically you, Bernard, like with how unruly the Republican Party seems to be, have things like ICE raids and stuff like that, have you been able to see any support in the numbers after all that stuff started happening?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's there have been so many meetings, and there have been so many like organizations gathering around here in the area. You may not hear about it a lot because nobody wants to, give away the game or get in trouble or expose themselves to any type of legal action or targeting. But there are a lot of different organizations that are working to rally around and provide resources to the immigrants in our area, whether they be documented or undocumented. Because as we've seen, it really doesn't matter if you got documents or not these days. I took a trip down there to the detention center in the Everglades, and when I got down there and I saw there was an actual highway sign that said, Alligator Alcatraz, I was just like, oh, y'all think this is funny.
It's an amusement park.
Y'all really, this is like Disney World for y'all. There are people in this place right now dealing with all type of horrible conditions need medical attention, dealing with not being able to use the restroom and eat accordingly, and all these different things. And you guys are out here with your kids, snapping, family photos in front of the sign. So
Yeah.
it was truly eye opening to the level of depravity and just the general general not caring for humanity, man. It's people sometimes ask like how do you how could things in history have happened? Whether that's, how could they allow the Holocaust to happen? How could slavery have been going on for so long? And when you look at the rhetoric that's used today to dehumanize the undocumented and documented immigrants here, it's the same rhetoric that they use to dehumanize the Jewish people during the Holocaust. It's the same rhetoric they used to dehumanize Black people during slavery. When you can take away a person's humanity, when you can dehumanize them, it makes it more easily acceptable among the oppressors to oppress those people and to do the things that they are doing to those people. So, my heart goes out to each and every person that has to deal with all of this. And there are a huge number of people that are working to make sure the community is educated, to make sure that the people have the resources that they need to combat this as best we can. So, it's unfortunate that, we all got to learn the hard way. But sometimes you got to take a hard lesson, and it just sucks that it's everyday people that have to suffer for it.
Yeah, I was in Stewart. My territory is in Stewart where I work at, so I got Golden Gate community. And so when February hit and all the deportations, the ICE raids, the stings, everything that was getting set up, I started handing out immigration rights cards to all the people out there on the streets. And I was just trying to do whatever I could to save people, educate people. And there was one girl that I know that she got picked up. She got zip tied. She was zip tied in a van for over 12 hours overnight with about 5 other people. Then she got shipped over to Boynton. Then she got shipped over to Chrome. Then she got shipped over to California to a privatized prison. Then she got shipped over to Arizona, then Atlanta, and then she finally got deported. But she was drinking out of the back of the toilet because that's where the common water is. Yeah. She was a little girl, man, and by the time she got done, she weighed maybe 90 pounds. And like this happened every day. Families decimated, ghost towns. Like it was scary. It's scary, man. It was really scary.
And that's the thing I try to tell people, especially with my candidacy and like what separates me. It's like I don't get to be detached from this stuff. Like every day I go to work, I'm responding to these calls. I'm responding to people in need. And I responded to a young lady who attempted to take her life because her dad was targeted and taken from her. And she didn't know if he was coming back or not. And she was already dealing with mental health issues with depression. So the combination of the depression and anxiety and the fact that your father was just taken from, she attempted to take her life. Like thank God we was able to get there in time and preserve and make sure she was okay and get her the help she needed. But I don't get to be somebody just looks at the numbers and make legislation. I don't get to be someone who could just say, oh, that doesn't affect me or that doesn't affect my community. I'm in the community every day. And every one of these things affect the community, whether it's dealing with the immigration policies, whether it's dealing with the Medicaid and Medicare policies, whether it's dealing with the food insecurity and all these different things. Like I'm emotionally attached to this area more so than anyone else because I have to be involved in so many different families and so many different situations and seeing people at their worst moments in their life and knowing that there's only so much I can do from this chair as a paramedic and as a firefighter. That's one of the things that inspired me to get more involved into this stuff and to actually run because I want to be able to do more for these people that I serve in my community in this aspect.
Let me ask you both this. I'm obviously brown. I grew up with Black folks. That I spend a significant amount of time with. Every Black and brown family is very big on being a strong family, respect, and taking care of your family. So when I see, and as a comparison, Or as an example, take a look at what happened in LA when they started kicking people out and the protests and everything. Like the California brown kids got together and they will challenge authority. Right. But then when I look at Florida, specifically South Florida, I lived in Miami for 3 or 4 years. Everybody, if you're from here, if you're not from here, if you're white, if you're black, if you're in between, everybody speaks Spanish. So you would think that they would have that camaraderie and that like they're connected, especially like the Democratic part of it, the Democrat Party part of it. But man, when I was out in Southern Florida in December, all I saw were Trump signs, literally everywhere. Everywhere. South Florida made me realize that that it's true that we have a Trump problem. That being said, what's going on down there where it seems like there's a lot of folks voting against their own interest or a fair way to do things, or like what is the messaging that's happening out there where like they're deporting brown kids and I'm not seeing a lot of pushback from that let's go there. I don't see a lot of pushback from you guys' community. And then I'm just gonna stack it up because this is where like I wanna build it up and then have you break it down.
Absolutely.
So I don't see where the pushback is there. And then you guys look at folks in LA saying, oh, look they're defending people that are flying the flag that ain't even theirs and all this other stuff, right? So there's a lot of bullshit that's happening. But in California, we're like, nah, bitch, we're not doing it that way. What's going on in Florida?
So I will say in California specifically, your community and my community is much more in solidarity than the communities here in South Florida. And that's by design. In California, I only lived in California, Northern California for a couple of years. But my interpretation, you can correct me if I'm Ukiah, up there in Santa Rosa area.
Yeah, you are.
So you can correct me if I'm wrong with my interpretation, but a lot of the Latinos and Hispanic people in California are Mexicans, right? Okay, so when you're dealing with South Florida, we got Cubans, Venezuelans, Nicaraguans, Costa Ricans, Guatemalans, Brazilians, like the whole y'all entire diaspora is there somewhere for them in South Florida, right?
Yeah.
When they get here, they see how we're treated. They don't want to be a part of that. Especially you guys know this again in your communities, because I speak with a lot of people in your community, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the same colorism that we deal with in my community gets dealt with in your guys' community as well.
Yes, sir.
So
yes,
especially when you're dealing with Cubans, when you come over here and you're already fair-skinned, you see how the population and you see the policies and you see how everything is kind of stacked up. If I'm fair-skinned and I'm Cuban, I see how the white people are treated and I see how the black people are treated.
So guess which paper you're going to play from?
Exactly. And then on top of that, I see the policies and the things that they're speaking on, because the Republican Party, even though they don't follow it, they speak on family values. They speak on a lot of those hard Christian beliefs that we all grow up in our communities, especially in the Black and Hispanic communities. So when I come over here and I see a party that not only this looks like the way to go, the road of least resistance, but they also are aligned with my religious beliefs. And then on top of that, I just left a country that
they say that they are. Yeah.
I just left a country that's been dealing with especially when you talk about the Cubans down in Miami, you know, a lot of this stuff is from the Castro era. So when they hear a word like socialism, they don't even hear anything else that comes after that. They just know Castro, socialism, absolutely not. They're not dealing with that. So they automatically, again, well, this party is talking like the party I just escaped from. I'm going over to this side. I'm going to conservatism. And again, Black and brown people, when you look down to it, a lot of the stuff that we believe is really conservative. We live a conservative lifestyle with a lot of the things and policies and the way we go about life. But however, we're also very much of a, hey, you do you, as long as it don't affect me type of a community. So I say all that to say, when you're dealing with South Florida, the melting pot of different diasporas that come in here, and that's not even just amongst the Hispanic community. You know, we're not even talking about amongst the Black community, where we got, you know, you got the African Americans, you got Haitians that come over here, then you have the Africans that come over here, whether it be Nigerians, Canadians. Like, Miami is such an international city.
It really is.
Get everybody here on one page is near impossible. Like, when you can't even get the Hispanics to come together and be on one page, you can't hope to like get more than one group of people of colors on the same page when the community itself can't get on the same page. So that's why, you know, when you're out in LA, it's a lot easier for you guys because you guys go through a lot of the same things and struggles together. Here it's not the case because they will throw you under the bus in order to get closer to that accepted way of life and accepted quote unquote look.
Yeah, like Trump leaning so hard on communism. Democrats are communists, and Cubans are like, "Yo, I'm not all about that," you know. And then there's a big Honduran community in Stewart, and they just want to work. They want to provide for their families. They want to live. They want to go home, and they want to, you know, be family men, you know, providing. And then, you know, they started disappearing, but they still remain silent. And you know what? There's another aspect to it, is like the Indian and the Bangladeshis are strong out here, but they don't communicate with each other either, and they're everything's very separated. And you know, you start talking about churches, you know, a lot of the times you go to your church and that's kind of about it. You know, there's not a whole lot of jumping around to different denominations, and even then you start getting in there and they start talking about, you know, the cult, the MAGA culture and things like that, and they start feeding that into, you know, scripture, and like they just slowly feeding and brainwashing, and the next thing you know, they don't care what the other side does, and they're going to vote for it anyway.
Exactly. And that's, again, with that years of this, again, this has been a coordinated effort and plan over years to target these communities, and not necessarily maybe win over the community, but get enough support and get enough people on your side to where if they make inroads with our communities, even though they are probably the most harmful to our communities as we can see. So I'm hoping, again, when you go throughout history and you look at the history of empires and great civilizations, every one of them has a tipping point. Either at that tipping point, the civilization or the empire falls, or the civilization and empire goes to another height. Right now, we are at that point, whether people want to realize it or not, and it's going to be up to us over the next year to steer the direction of this country and where we want it to go. If we don't activate it and get organized and actually take heed and take this thing seriously, I don't know what's going to happen after 2026, to be quite honest, because that is the last point we have a chance to put some guardrails up all across the country and put people in a position to be able to fight and again, block some of the things that are put here to harm us. So again, it's my job to spread this message and educate as many people as possible. It's my job to encourage platforms like you guys and so many other platforms out here to keep, you know, encourage you guys to keep having voices, keep having people on to spread messages, and you guys spread the message as well, because I can only talk to so many people. I can only reach so many people, and we can't afford to not be activated. We can't afford to have, you know, 90 million people that are eligible to vote just say, nah, I'm good. Whatever happens, happens. Like, obviously, we can't have a whatever happens moment, because we see what could happen And like I say, we're not even 7 months into this thing, man.
And
That's
I think
what I was about to say. Like, we're only 6 months, 7 months into a wake-up call.
yeah. And one of the scariest things is MAGA could survive without Donald Trump. And that's a problem. That is a big problem.
That's why to me it's not even a Donald Trump problem. To me it's an education problem. To me it's, how can someone so obviously corrupt, so obviously, he's been a crook his whole life. He's been a crook his whole life, and all of a sudden he had a come to Jesus moment, and he knows how to fix the country. And for 6 months he's been hitting the piñata, baby. He's trying to get all the candy.
Yeah.
Hey, true enough, man, I tell people all the time, man, the con man gonna come, man. And right now, that man running the biggest con on the country in the world, and he's getting rich off of it. You know, credit to him. He's getting his money while we all are, suffering as a people. And
if
again,
it wasn't for his enablers, I'm sorry for cutting you off, but if it wasn't for his enablers, he would just be some old crazy man playing hide the pea on the train.
Yeah.
And that's the thing too, is like, he has a bunch of enablers, and I think what a lot of people thought, stemming back from his first time he was in office, I think what a lot of people thought was those same guardrails that were there in terms of people who would be like, nah, man, that's crazy, you can't do that. I think they thought that, hey, we can get our guy that we like in office, but there will be some people in place that kind of keep him, handcuffed a little bit, that we would have some kind of checks and balances to where we can have the guy that's crazy that we love because he supports all of our crazy whack theories, but at the same time he can't really break a lot of things because there are people in place to tell you like no, even though again we all see with our own eyes and we all read what they said they were going to do. And I don't know about you guys, but when somebody tell me that they're going to do something, even if they might be joking, I'm gonna take it seriously until it's proven a joke. If somebody takes the time to write 900 pages of policy, I don't know nobody who writes 900 pages of anything for fun.
That's a battle plan.
So if you took the time to write something 900 pages long, I'm gonna read it because obviously you put some thought and effort into this thing. So unfortunately, we had a lot of people who took things for granted and thought that politics was politics. It was the same politics that we've been dealing with all our life, not realizing that these people took advantage of the fact that people thought, oh, it's just the same politics that we've been dealing with all of our lives. And now we hear about states like Nebraska who are about to go bankrupt because of the USAID program being shut down and that being the main source of their funding. States like Montana about to shut down because these programs are being—
Shout out Russell.
Yeah, like all these different things coming out. It's like, hold on, my hospital about to close down because these cuts, even though the cuts aren't happening, I try to explain this to people. Like, businesses prepare for things years in advance. If they know that funding and resources and income is not going to be there a year from now, they're going to start to prepare for it now to cushion the blow. And they realize, and again, businesses aren't stupid. They read these bills. They read everything that's going to affect their bottom line. So when you see farmers going bankrupt because they can't pay their bills because they aren't able to export their goods to these countries, when you see hospitals and nursing homes already starting to lay off people, already starting to shutter parts of their hospitals and different programs in their hospitals because they know the income is not going to be there. Like, all this stuff was told, and unfortunately, our average American reading comprehension level is of a sixth grader. And we are only as good as our weakest link in this country. And right now, as a whole, we are not very strong in terms of being an educated populace, in terms of being people that want to be informed. And we are made up of a majority. Yeah, we are made up of a majority of lazy voters, to be quite honest with you. Nobody looks past the surface of who they're voting for, the candidate they're about to choose. And again, that's my job over the next years, to educate people on all aspects of these things, whether it be how to research your candidate to see who's funding them. All this stuff is public record. How to look up their policies, their voting habits, what the things that they voted on during their time in office. Showing people like how your property tax funds everything around you. Like, you want roads to be built in your city, but you want your property taxes cut. Like you can't have both. Like these are things that have to be explained. I'm talking about to an elementary level, unfortunately. And I hope that not only myself, but anybody who's running for office, if they learned one thing from this guy, the one thing you should learn is you don't have to be college PhD educated to get people to vote for you. You literally need to be quite the opposite, because people need things in bite-sized short form. Like just give me the bread and the bread and the butter. I don't need all this fluff. You don't have to.
They're identifying with these dummies.
Yes, like you need to be able to communicate very simply to people, and I think that's something that I've mastered, and I'm trying to get my fellow other grassroots candidates to master. That it's not about how much money you raise. If you can get out here and talk to people and make people understand your point of view and how things are affecting them, you can go a long way.
And let me break the news to some of those folks that are holding up those Trump banners and stuff. I hang out with people that are richer than you, and let me tell you, they don't like you either.
Facts.
But I thought that was like universally understood. Like I don't know. At one point,
white folks connect to white folks, and they think they got that money, and you don't.
Like, I don't know at what
they're
point
not going to let you in their neighborhood.
On the same page. Like I knew growing up, like rich people in Port, they not looking out for us no matter what you look like. I don't know when that connection became like, oh, they are on our side. The people with all the money that are exploiting us, that want us to work forever and
he loves
die.
us.
Like no retirement, no social security, nothing. Those people know what's best. I don't understand.
Let me tell you like this: you folks with those Trump banners and all that stuff, look at your school, and then look at the school for the people that are making rules that got you tricked into holding up that banner.
Absolutely.
Let me tell you something. I'm a product of Chicago public school system.
Hey,
and I am talented and gifted.
There you go.
So I have a lot of, and I can tell those stories until the day ends. It don't matter. Going through the Chicago public school system, then joining the Army, doing all the things. And then when I was in college, I started working for a school in the white district, the rich people district. Let me say it like that, because there's difference. I was working at the rich school, high school. And the difference was this: when I was going to high school, we had posters up there that said ABCs and 1, 2, 3s and reading is fundamental. When I was working at the other high school, their poster said, remember to diversify your funds. Yeah. You think they worried about you and your little posters?
Absolutely. Absolutely not.
They are playing you. They are playing you.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
So with that being said, talk to me about how do we fix education?
Yeah. First of all, we can't shutter the Department of Education first and foremost.
Boom.
So one thing
that was an easy one.
Yeah, that's the first thing you can't do. But you have to actually. So you have to actually invest in the education system. You have to actually invest in these people. The people that want an educated populace educate their kids. You know, if you look at if you look at some of these videos that come out of China with what they do in kindergarten, like you ever seen them viral videos with the kindergartners? They already learn how to cook. They already like doing like all types of crazy gymnastics and doing all type of calculus and all this stuff in kindergarten, because they take the time to educate their populace, because they know an educated populace only makes them stronger. Here in America, we know a dumb populace only makes 1% of the people that got all the money more richer. So we need to actually investigate. We need to actually invest in our populace education. We can't have states that are ranked, 49th, and it's like by a long shot, by a long. Like it's like we all like in the straight road. Like no, you have the states that rank number 1 and then 49. You can't even see on the page. So, prime example. They always say we don't have money for things, but you just took the organization in ICE that has $40 billion budget, and you gave them an extra $110 billion to do what they do.
To be
Why
ignorant
can't
in the
we put that
streets.
money in? Why can't we put that money in the Department of Education,
You
put
know
it
what I'm
through
saying?
all these states and be able to do things like, oh, I don't know, make sure everybody can eat during school. Because
No.
when you're not hungry, you can focus. I don't know about you guys, but I know when I didn't have lunch when I was in school, I wasn't worried about nothing in that next class but my stomach
Tell them.
growling.
Tell them.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like
And
making
even
sure
if you
people
wanted
can
to pay
eat.
even if you wanted to pay attention, you're still wrestling with
Exactly.
hunger.
So doing things like making sure people can eat. Everybody got free lunch and free breakfast. Doing things like making sure you had after school care so the parents didn't have to worry about not being able to work full time because they needed to be home because they didn't have any child care. They can work those extra hours. And then that also creates an environment for the kids to be able to have tutoring in that after school care to get the extra help they may need for their homework. And you know what that also does when the kids are in school longer or in that aftercare program? That occupies children. So they're not out doing things that they don't have no business doing.
Boom.
I tell people all the time, an educated populace is also a safe populace. Your community is safer the more you educate people.
The focus is different.
Exactly. The more you get, the more things you get for the kids to be constructive, the safer your community is. And that's another way that us as candidates need to message this when we get out here, as far as like talking with the communities, like people who value safety. You need to realize that when you are dealing in certain communities, like you say, those communities with the rich kids that get the education, I'm pretty sure crime rate almost zero because again, they
I don't even
occupy.
have to lock my doors.
That's what I'm saying. It's like even in certain places around here in our district, there are
do, 'cause
certain
I'm from
communities I
Chicago.
drive through. Like if you ever been in the tradition area over here, like I'm pretty sure nobody locked their doors over there. But then you go up the road 15 miles, and I think you got double locks. Nobody's playing around up there. You know what I'm saying? So again, you want to fix the education system, you have to put money into it. You want to fix the healthcare system, you got to put money into it. The countries in the world, you could tell what a country values by the things that they invest their money into. If you look at the Nordic states like Sweden, Finland, and Norway, all over there, some of the top educated people in the country, low prison populations in those countries, because what do they value as a country? They value education, they value healthcare, and they value their people. You value the people, that shows me what type of country you are. We don't value the people in this country.
Not at all.
Point blank period. We don't value the people.
Nope.
The only thing people serve in this country, they serve as workers. We all worker ants. They don't value us. They don't invest in us. They value military and defense, and they value deportation. Those are the two things that the budget shows me, that this bill shows me that they value. They want to make sure the military is strong and the military industrial complex is fully funded with $1 trillion, but we don't got no money. And then they want to make sure they can deport as many people that look like us as possible. Everything else is secondary. Oh, sorry. Then they want to get rich.
Yeah.
Those are the three things that we care about as a country.
Yep.
So until that changes, until we get someone and a bunch of people in office that actually value the people of the country instead of those things, because why are we spending $1 trillion on defense, even if we cut that in half and just reinvested that back into the people? You know how much good we can do in the country. Instead of that $110 billion increase to ICE, $110 billion into the education system, into Medicare, into those different programs around the country. But again, we don't got money.
And
it's
they could have
we don't have money. It's what we are. It's what we want to invest in with the money. We don't have money to invest in us.
Let's go back to education and jobs and stuff like that. Let me ask you, what is the jobs of tomorrow? What do you guys think it is?
Ain't no jobs tomorrow. Everything gonna be pretty much computer ran in the future, the way things are going now.
Right.
Obviously, I always try to tell people, and one of the things that I would love to get past when I'm elected, I'm speaking that into existence. One of the things I want to get past, a bill that I've written already and I have in my back pocket, is a program for high schoolers. And to fund this program, it will come from the federal government through the states. When you hit your junior year in high school, you get a trade as an elective. You can pick what trade you want. When you graduated high school, you were also trade certified. So you had options to go to college. You could start a business with that trade you learned, or you can go work for someone. What does that do? That helps with the $100,000 shortage in electricians that we are at right now.
Mm.
70,000 shortage in plumbers that we have right now. All these different trades that aren't getting replenished, that are dying out slowly because we just don't have the workers for them, because the kids are not interested in these programs. Those are the things that are going to stay around. You know, I teach my kids all the time, like, you know, if you're going to go to college, that's cool. Make sure you're doing something that's not expendable. Make sure you're doing something that you can't be AI'd out of your job. And working with your hands, I'm sorry, you can never
going away.
You can never be AI'd working with your hands. So even if you decide to go do something else, always have a skill that you can do with your hands, because at the end of the day, I don't care how smart a computer is, like they ain't make the AI to go into a burning building and drag someone out. Point blank period. You know what I'm saying? They ain't made the AI to be able to rewire my house right now. There ain't nobody that can do that for me. There ain't nobody that can solve a water heater problem with AI. So until, you know, I don't know what it's going to be 100 years from now, but in the near future and in the present, we have careers that are not being sought after, and a lot of it is because we don't have the resources and we don't have the accessibility for trade schools after we graduate high schools, because trade schools are not covered under federal grants to be able to get the money to go to them. And we have already seen them cut the Department of Education, so you're not even gonna get that money anyway, even if it was eligible. So,
and they made
that I would like to do is invest in those types of programs and educate people on making sure you have some type of skill that you can rely on, because again, with the advancements in technology and the way things are going and what they're trying to do, you don't want to be out here and get, like I said, you don't want to be out here and have a computer take your job.
They make it seem like those jobs are desirable either. Like they knock them, like oh man, I don't want to be a plumber, I don't want to be an electrician.
You don't know, you ever seen an electrician's paycheck? I know how much I got to pay when they come to my house.
Nice. You know how to turn the lights on?
Hey. Like that's what I try to tell people. Say y'all don't understand the game, man. They make those jobs undesirable because they know that those are high paying. Those are high paying jobs. Like blue collar work is still a very prosperous business. My brother's a welder. Right now, he can go get a contract. When he was single, he would be in North Dakota somewhere on some lucrative contract welding, or he was in Mississippi at one time at a shipyard, because welders are hard to find these days. And they'll be like, oh, it doesn't, you know what it is? Because they don't see it as like an intellectual job. So obviously you can't be making that much money because it doesn't take much intellect until you realize how much a welder makes, especially if you can underwater weld. I almost tried to learn how to scuba dive one day. When I saw how much an underwater welder can make, I said, wait a minute.
Bernard's brother got nervous when Bernard showed up with.
So again, like I said, even in my job, man, it's if you working in the right spots and in the right areas as a firefighter, as a paramedic, these are all things that can provide a great income for the everyday working family. And it's up to myself and others to educate these children, man, and get them outside again and get them willing to work with their hands again. Because and at the end of the day, you can be good with these computers, but they are working on computers to be able to be better than you. So make sure you can do something with your hands.
And let me point out part of the game that not everybody realizes that is happening. Let's say you did want to go. Let's say you're good with computers. I used to work in Silicon Valley. And the game is this. The game is they'll put out someone like Elon Musk and something out there to tell you that Americans are lazy and stupid. Right? But this is the game. Americans aren't lazy. Americans aren't stupid, because we invented things like the internet. We invented things like airplanes and cars and shit like that, right? So we invented computers and all that stuff. Then Americans go to get those jobs, but this is where the flip happens. They have contract companies that you have to work through, but those contract companies are going overseas to get people. They can pay 3 and 4 people for the price of one American. Right. Absolutely. And then they turn around and they say, you guys aren't qualified. Well, what do you mean I'm not qualified? Well, you don't have this school, that school, the other school, all these other schools. Well, yeah, but like, again, Chicago public high schools is a challenge because I can show you some videos from just a few years ago where the high school that I graduated from, they were talking about their librarian they had to get rid of the librarian because they didn't have funding for the librarian. So how am I supposed to qualify for these jobs when you're not even giving me a goddamn librarian?
Again, it's bottom line, bottom dollar. And then, like you said, I'm not even going to invest the money into you if I know I can get 4 of you for the price of 1 of you. So why even invest the money into you? That's a waste of money.
And then I'm going to tell you, pull yourself up by the bootstraps.
Oh yeah.
And the library.
And then I'm going to turn around and get money from the government to help me run my company.
Absolutely. They don't like that socialism word, but they use it a lot. They sure do use it a lot, man. They don't like us getting. They don't like the underprivileged getting food stamps and Medicaid, but your housing market goes down. Here's a bailout. Banking goes down. Here's a bailout.
2008 didn't wake you up. You are not paying attention.
Yep. 100%.
The car, the automobile, and I'm not saying that whatever decisions were made, that's fine. If the bankers that made this happen don't go to jail, you did something wrong, because they crashed the world economy. And going back to those Nordic countries, wasn't it Sweden or something like that took bankers and put them in jail for making these dumbass decisions?
Yep.
And then you guys are like, yeah, not you guys, but folks with those posters and stuff, they're like, yeah, that sounds like a plan. This guy's really got us dialed in. They don't like you. They don't like you.
I just imagine myself walking into a room and being like, hey, I done filed for bankruptcy 6 times, but I want you to loan me some money. somebody give me the money.
And I had 3 wives and I cheated on all of them.
Do that.
And I had 3 wives and I cheated on all of them.
Yeah.
And I started a school and I cheated all of them. And then I started a steak brand and I cheated all of them. And then I started a
vodka.
I don't know, man. Like I said, I don't know where we got lost at. I don't know where we got lost at as a society. Like all this stuff is public record. Like nothing about this man is real. Like he's the worst business person ever. And we was like, yeah, that's the guy we want to be in charge of our business affairs.
It's that infatuation with being so close to a celebrity, right? Like, and then people love a villain, a good villain. And he is.
None of those idiots have been invited to Mar-a-Lago. Not one. Not one of those poster holders have been invited to Mar-a-Lago.
Especially the people that look like us. Like they don't even let us get anywhere near the property. I was watching a video of one of like his best friends, and he said he'd been in Mar-a-Lago many times, and he ain't never seen a person of color as a guest. We might be in the kitchen somewhere, or might be out there on the grass, making sure the golf
Nick Fuentes doesn't count. Nick Fuentes doesn't count.
Hell no.
I can't wait to bump into him in an alley.
That's a special character, man.
I can't wait to bump into him in an alley. Ooh, and he's in Chicago too, boy.
You'll probably see him in DC, Carlos.
I can't wait.
Bro,
I want to bump into him. I want to bump into him. Man. You want to talk about little hands?
Hey man, that grift is something serious, man. When I see people that look like us on this internet, man, and trying to profit off this disparaging our communities and basically being a voice for them to be able to disparage our communities with their talking points, I do my best to ignore it, man, because I know what it is. I know what the grift is. I know what the game is. I don't want to participate in the rage bait and making them profitable. But it's just like I see sometimes some of the video that he does and other people, and I'm just like, bro, you can tell the people that ain't never been slapped at full speed in life. you really can, man. It's crazy.
Hey, that's what I said last episode. Last episode, I said Donald Trump talks like a rich white boy whose chin has never been checked.
100%, 100%, 100%. And he's an old man now, so I don't conduct I don't condone no violence against the seniors. But
I'll take it out on his kids.
Trying to run up on him, I'm not gonna be mad. Senior on seniors is fine with me.
I'm gonna go recruit me some old
Bro, like
old dude with
if
some
Joe
hands.
just wanted to come back and say he forgot something at the White House and check him one time, I ain't even gonna be mad.
We should call up Dean Thomas.
Uh,
We just had him on the podcast.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's what's up. Yeah,
Yeah.
Gene will do it 100%.
he agreed too. That was the episode. I told Dean, I told him that. I was like, he talks like that. And he's like 100%. And he just shook his head like,
100%.
yeah.
He talks again like somebody who ain't never been in a confrontation in his life.
And then let's talk about how easy it would be for the poster holders to have been convinced that this dude is the answer. And he's steady ruining your life. But if it's easy for him to gain power just by pointing at people like us and saying, look at black and brown people, and that's all it took? That's all it took. What is your problem?
Racism is expensive, brother. Racism is expensive. And unfortunately, a lot of people value the opportunity and the ability to be able to say, quote unquote, I'm better than you.
Yeah.
While at the same time not getting their benefits that they need in order to survive, not getting the health care they need in order to survive. You know, we could progress so far, a longer way as a country if we were to just work together as a country. But for some people, it's I would rather not have anything if it means they don't get to have anything either, as opposed to I would rather have everything, but they got to get it too. Yeah. So when it comes to those choices, and it's crazy to me because when you think of it, common sense is I can have everything I want and they can have it too, as opposed to wait, I don't get nothing what I want, but they don't get it either. Yeah. That makes you happier than actually getting everything you want. Right. And until we get enough of people on this side that want to get everything and make sure everybody else has everything, as opposed to those people, we'll continue to be in this perpetual cycle that we've been on. And like I say, I mean, it's not even the majority of the country because, again, 90 million people sat home. When you look at the entire electorate, only, I think, about 23% of the country actually participated in the voting process.
That's wild.
So, like, it can't be that, man. We all have to get out here and actually stand up and use our voices. And we can't be nonchalant about this thing. I think the fact that this democracy experiment has been going on for so long, people just take it for granted, like it could just last forever. And again, those are just people I know that didn't pay attention in history class, because no empire, as we are in an empire, whether they, it ain't like the Roman Empire where we got gladiators and all this stuff, but the American Empire has been going on for a very long time. And all empires fail eventually if you don't fight for them, if you don't uphold the values that your empire stands on. And right now, our empire and our values and our democracy are being tested and are being challenged. And it's either we're going to hold up the values and ideals that we were, taught and led to believe were the base of this country, or, the MAGA revolution going to win, and we'll be in a fight for our lives over the next few years.
And a lot of those folks forget. Some of us, we went to the military. Some of us co-signed to that Second Amendment too, bitch. We ain't afraid of you.
Exactly. Like, just because we're not as loud
like a bunch
about
of
it,
monkeys, ain't nobody afraid of you.
Yeah, just because we're not as loud about it as you guys are, doesn't mean that we don't participate in our Second Amendment rights. And that's just growing up, man. I learned real G move in silence. You ain't supposed to be talking about all this stuff. If there's one thing I learned growing up, it's just like, you be quiet, you walk soft, and you carry a big stick. And like I say, that's why I walk around the way I do, because I don't know what nobody know, and I don't know what you carry. I try to be as respectful as possible.
So, and I try to be open-minded, and I approach every relationship like there's something to learn. Because if I'm struggling and you're struggling, let's figure out a way. What, like, number one, why are we struggling? Number two, let's figure out how we can get out of this.
That's how our whole podcast thing. Like, I jumped on, I connected with him. I was like, man, I needed a video. He's like, let's do it. And then it just started it just started snowballing into like we're doing these podcasts, we're doing social medias, we're doing all these things, connecting cool and smart and like people that bring something to the table. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
We're trying to break the bread to feed the 5,000. You know, so we can
Hey,
all
and
eat.
let me add this too. If there's some right leaning folks that want to come and talk, I don't care. Come on.
Absolutely, man. And I do that too when I do them when I go. So I find that TikTok is a very good space because they have like a lot of live panels every day.
Mhm.
I find myself joining a lot of panels and talking with, not just like-minded people, but people who aren't like-minded. And you'll find that, a lot of people are willing to listen to a conversation and have a conversation with you. And like you say, just kind of figure out where we can meet and what our issues are and,
Right.
listening to those different points of views. I mean, obviously you got the trolls. Trolls are everywhere. But I feel like, podcasts like this and those panels and things of that nature give us an opportunity that we don't take advantage of, which is actually to get out and talk to people. A lot of times with the politics, the way they are status quo, people just look to see who raised the most money and just say, oh, obviously that person is the right candidate. Look how much money they raised. Not realizing that, yeah, they raised a lot of money, but when your money only comes from like 5 super PACs and corporations, it's like, okay, but
Right.
my is just using my campaign for an example. If my campaign doesn't raise a bunch of money, but 700 people donated, who is actually the candidate for the people as opposed to the candidate for the corporations? And
Yeah.
that's kind of the same thing that we gotta do right now, man. Is getting the people to realize who's going to be the actual candidates for the people. So that's a challenge, but we got a year before these primaries here in Florida. Wherever you are located, I want you guys to make sure you are doing your research about all your elections, local, state, and federal, and be active. Be active participants in your lives. Because whether you want to believe it or not, this legislation affects all of your lives, especially at the local level. During this process, I started going to a lot of town halls and city council meetings and school board meetings, and the things that get voted on that there's just not many people in the room that even know. Like when you go to these city council meetings, like it ain't like it's a crowd full of people. There's maybe like 10 or 11 people in there, and decisions are made between a mayor and a couple county commissioners that affect each and every person's lives that live in that city. And when you're not there to voice your opinion, then people don't care what you think. they
They're
literally
going to
just
assume that you don't care.
feel.
They're going to
So
assume that you don't care.
exactly. So y'all got to be out here
And
making your voices heard, man. You can't complain about the conditions of your community if you're not an active participant in the decisions that affect your community. That's
Yep.
why I don't complain. That's why I never really complained about the things that were going on, because I knew I wasn't as active as I should have been. And like I say, over the past year, even before announcing, I've become way more active in my community and in the things that affect my community and the decisions that are being made in my community. And again, once you step into that world and you start to see how things operate, you'll start to be more engaged. You'll definitely start to want to be more engaged and active in the decision making process.
Yeah.
talk to me, or even better, what is your best pitch for minority folks that think my vote don't even matter? I don't even care.
If your vote didn't matter, they wouldn't work so hard to get rid of it.
Uh,
Bars.
Point blank, period.
tell
Like, I
them.
don't know about you
Tell
guys,
them.
but if something don't matter to me, I don't work hard towards it. I don't work hard to get rid of it. I don't work hard to diminish it. Like if something didn't really matter, I don't put no work towards it.
Yeah.
Between the voter registration laws, between the attack right now, we just heard the announcement he wants to work on getting rid of mail-in ballots,
Yep.
the obvious gerrymandering that's going on in Texas and all these different things. Like, and that's another thing too, when people tell me like we're not even gonna have elections. I'm like, just okay, if we wasn't gonna have elections, we wouldn't worry about gerrymandering. If we wasn't gonna have elections, we wouldn't worry about him talking about some getting rid of the mail-in votes. So we're going to have an election.
We
Again,
will.
don't
Or the
listen,
click
don't
clack comes out.
yeah, like don't be out here in your feelings. Like see what's going on and listen to the clues and see what's going on around you.
Right.
Your vote counts, your vote matters, because if it didn't, they wouldn't be trying so hard to disenfranchise you. They're taking the Voting Rights Act up to the Supreme Court right now. If your vote didn't count, there wouldn't be going back to the 1965 Voting Rights Act trying to get rid of it. Your vote counts. Your vote matters. That's the only thing we have in this country to make our voices heard and to stand up against the people that are against us right now. So,
and you got to vote
that
now.
will be my message, man. Don't be out here acting stupid. Your vote matters.
Yeah.
People died and sacrificed and literally, like I say, gave their lives just so you had the opportunity to go and put your name on a ballot and fill it out. That's the least you can do for those people. If nothing else, do it out of respect for those that made the way. Do it out of respect for those that marched in these streets in church shoes for miles. I don't know about y'all, but I ain't walking miles in no church shoes. And these people was out here stomping the pavement in church shoes. So you go out there and you feel the balance out for these people, man. Because again,
respect for what they have done. Yes,
exactly, man. And it made a way not just for people that look like me, but people that look like you guys and the Asian community and all these different minority communities. Like none of these communities would be able to come in here, start businesses, and do the things that they've been doing without the sacrifice of those people that wanted to make sure that not only Black people had equal rights, but everyone had equal rights.
Yeah.
So don't dishonor their legacy. Don't dishonor their sacrifice. Get out here and make your voices heard.
All right, I'm gonna go selfish for a hot second because I want to brag. I want you guys. I'm gonna tell you this story, and then I want you guys to chime in. So, I was in Miami in late December, early January this year, and my girl, we stayed on South Beach, and my girl hadn't seen Scarface yet. So I took my girl to go watch Scarface. After giving her a tour of South Beach, I took her to this it was a rooftop movie thing. We had popcorn and all the things, and my girl was like, "Oh my God, we just walked by there." Oh, I'm like, "Shut up. I'm trying to watch a movie." Right? So take this time to explain to my girl how dope that is.
Yo, you gotta understand, man. When Scarface came out, like, though you couldn't tell nobody in Miami nothing. You couldn't tell anybody. Everybody thought they was the kingpin. Everybody thought they had the plug. Everybody thought they was the connect. It was a time growing up, man. Like that is a Miami staple. Like you couldn't tell nobody back in those days that they wasn't Tony Montana. When I say I can only imagine, man. I can only imagine. I just hear. Obviously, I was born a little bit after it premiered, but I hear the stories from my uncles and my cousins and all those guys growing up in that area of Miami, and it's just like, man, you couldn't tell them boys nothing. Everybody thought they had the Colombian connection and all this stuff.
Polyester and gold chains everywhere.
Got these big old collars and walking around, man. It's like, y'all get out of here with that stuff, man.
I said sanitation.
Exactly, man. Dude. But yeah, it's crazy. The history on that beach, man. Between the Scarface movie, that's where Giovanni Versace, his incident happened, unfortunately, down there on South Beach. So it's a lot of history down there. I love home, man. I grew up in the Carroll City area in Miami before I moved to the Treasure Coast, and to see what it is now and all the gerrymandering, all the people moving in, the gentrification. Like my home is not my home. Like I don't even recognize that place. I barely go and visit these days because again, most of the people that I knew growing up priced out or can't afford to live there anymore. And that goes back to what we talked about in the beginning. That's happening. The same thing that I saw happen and my family saw happen to our neighborhood in Miami. Same thing that's happening in Broward and Palm Beach, and it's making its way up here to the Treasure Coast. So definitely want to make sure that we stand up for those people, stand up for those communities, and make sure that we're fighting against the gentrification of our homes and standing up for what's ours. Like these places have been in our families and been in our communities for years. So definitely want to make sure we standing up for that. But if nothing else, man, everybody know how to do the Scarface accent.
Yeah, they do. Hey, and if you're not from Miami and you go to Miami and you speak Spanish, you be careful. Everybody speaks Spanish. Probably
Everybody
better than you.
speaks Spanish, even us. We speak Spanish. That's why, like,
So
people
when you say
understand, like,
you better be
Spanish
careful
is a
talking
class for
English
us. Like when you go to elementary school in Miami, first grade, they teach Spanish. Like you got a Spanish class in the first grade. So when it's so funny. I'll go into establishments up here where I'm at in my community, and I'll go to those places and people start talking Spanish, and I'll act like I don't understand nothing that they're saying, and then I'll hear them. I'll hear something like I'll hear a Negro, and my ears will perk up and like, what you say now? and the fear that goes over their body when they realize that I can speak Spanish. But it's all fun, man. I just love messing with people.
Yeah, that's that G move in silence again. Like, okay,
absolutely,
play this one
absolutely.
And again, that's one of the failures of low to middle income schools. Like when you go to rich people's school, they teach you languages. They want you to speak to different business people.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
When you come from a low to mid level, they're not doing that. They're not doing that. They're convincing you guys that, oh, it's an inconvenience to press 2 for Spanish. Are you crazy? Literally all business people speak multiple languages.
Yep. Absolutely.
What are we doing?
It's a reason why Europeans come over here and they can speak 3 or 4 languages. It's a reason why
Easily.
Even some countries, some African countries, they come over here and they can speak multiple languages, and that's the reason why you got to be able to communicate and do international business. Like,
right.
It makes no sense. It makes no sense that you live in America and you can't do business in Mexico. Like that makes no sense. Like that's a trading partner. You should definitely be able to speak that language, or even French. But if you want to do business up in Canada, you want to do business up in the Quebec area, like French is their solid language. Like if you can't speak French, you can't. You if nothing else, money should motivate you to want to learn as many languages as possible.
Yeah.
The more languages you know, the more money you can put in your pocket.
Germany, one of our tightest homies.
Yep, absolutely.
Come on, what are we doing? What are we doing?
Absolutely. And if nothing else, man, if you like Spanish, women, you better learn how to speak Spanish.
At least start by.
Hey, that's why I learned German. That's why I learned German.
There you go. If nothing else, you got to be able to talk to the women, man.
Shoot, at one point I was fluently trilingual. I wasn't trying to be lonely.
I know that, right, man. Absolutely. I got a cousin in the army and a brother in the Navy, and they get deployed. They tell me all the time the first thing they do is find somebody to teach them the language.
Get one of those little pocket dictionaries, and we out.
Absolutely. They say I ain't gonna be out here lonely.
If that's not motivation to get you speaking multiple languages, boy, business and the ladies,
absolutely,
boy,
100%.
And they are convincing you that I don't want to press 2 for English. Get your lazy ass.
Oh man! All right, let me switch it up real quick. Bernard, you're a big dude, right? We can see he talked about your muscles being bigger than people's waists and whatnot. But I gotta ask you, man. So you're going up against some Goliaths out here. You know, you're running against, Mass. He's got some millions in the bank.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
He's got a lot of money back in him, man. What's your slingshot? What are you using for your slingshot, man?
Knocking these doors, brother. Having conversations.
Hustle.
The thing I got that Mass doesn't have is building relationships with people. The man's been in office for 9 years and had one town hall with his constituents. The man has been in office all this time and really does not have a relationship with the community, as far as I've learned over talking with people all of this time. He shows up when it's politically convenient, but never really around like he needs to be. A lot of, again, looking where the money's coming from. The money ain't coming from the community.
Mm-hmm.
Money is coming from a few sources, and those sources are who his allegiances are tied to. And we need to understand that as a community. When you understand that, the person that's supposed to be representing you is not going to be voting in your best interest, especially when it comes to things that are concerning in this area. When you're talking about the environment and the potential harm it causes to not only our economy, but our healthcare. He claims to be a champion of the environment, but some of the policies and some of the people that he's in bed with that funds him are harming our environment, and on top of that, harming our environment ends up harming us because of the ecological health disadvantages we are in, especially in minority areas. When you're talking about runoff from Lake Okeechobee and polluting is in the waters, you know what areas those affect the most? Our areas, because that's where a lot of that runoff and trash and sewage ends up being dispersed. So being able to bring up his record, being able to expose his record to the voters, and again talking with those voters, because you got to be able to be out here and meeting people and letting them know that I'm actually want to be a person that represents you. It's 110 degrees outside and I'm out here knocking your door. You see sweat dripping from my face, but I'm out here trying to earn your vote. And that's what we have to do. That's what we have to get back to. That's what politics used to be. Before Citizens United, that decision wrecked everything about politics. As once politics became an unlimited way for people to get rich, it stopped being about us. It was never really about us in the beginning, but it really stopped being about us after 2011, when it was decided that these super PACs and these corporations could literally buy candidates and have candidates put policies in place that affect their corporations as opposed to the people. We've been on a downward spiral ever since, man. So one of my goals is to make sure that if elected, to reform campaign finance laws, ban insider trading from Congress and the Senate. Because I truly believe that people couldn't get rich doing this job, they wouldn't do it. Like a lot of people that represent us, they wouldn't be up there doing the things that they're doing if it wasn't a way for them to have power and get and make money. So that's what we got to do, man. We got to get the power back into the people. We got to talk to as many people as possible, and that starts with rights. That's why I'm campaigning so early, because it's a lot of doors here, man. So I got a year to knock a lot of doors.
I wanted to jump on that real quick, because there's a lot of people probably in Florida that are looking my way saying, well, Nancy Pelosi, and I say you are 100% correct.
Yeah, this ain't a
you
left
are
and right
100%
thing.
correct.
This is not a left and right thing. This is literally a good versus evil thing. Right now, the evil is all the money in politics. We need to get all the money. I don't care what side you on. I don't care what party you represent. I'll give you a prime example. When you look at the foreign lobbyists, they fund both sides. They fund both sides of the aisle to have both sides of the aisle speaking their talking points. So we definitely need to get the foreign lobbyists out of our campaign laws, because they're coming in and they're creating policies, and they're guiding these people on both sides of the aisle to form their opinions. And even if they try to speak out against something, they on the phone like, hey, what are you doing? We gave you all this money. Don't you dare speak out against us again. And sure enough, 5 minutes later, you have a retraction. Or I didn't really mean what I said earlier. That's what we got to get out of politics. And that's what I'm striving to work on. Again, this ain't a left and right thing. This is a us versus them thing. And I represent us. I don't represent them.
Right. Hey, Bernard, how much did you're out there in the streets? You're out there in Fort Pierce. You're out there in St. Lucie. You're out there in Stewart, Palm Beaches. You're out there everywhere, right? And you're going out there knocking on doors. How much did it bug you when Brian Mast pulled up on his little motorcycle up into the Lyric Theater in Stewart and try to just do an impromptu town hall saying he's there for the people?
Bro, I'm glad I wasn't there, man, because I think I would have ended my campaign very early because I would have been seen being very disparaging.
Pushing him up his little scooter.
Being very disparaging to a handicapped person, which is unacceptable. So I'm glad I wasn't there. But it's like I said, it's just stuff like that is completely unacceptable. Like I salute your service and I appreciate your sacrifice for everything that he sacrificed for this country. At the same time, it doesn't give you the permission to be a horrible human being. You know what I'm saying? And that's what we got to get past. And like I said, we know the game, man. It is what it is. You're out here in your shorts all the time, playing up on your disability. And I find it funny that the party that's always telling people not to be victims, but you are always using your victimhood to exploit it to get votes.
All of
so
them.
It is what it is, and I know the game, and it's my job to look past that and get people to look past that feeling sorry. You done felt sorry for 9 years. You gave them more than enough due. Look at the person's record. Look at who they are as a human being, because like I said, man, being disabled doesn't give you a right to be just a horrible person.
Right. And then you can't get mad, You're out here talking all kinds of mess, and then you get mad when Jasmine Crockett calls you Governor Hot Wheels.
That's what I'm saying, man. Like, y'all, they be getting real slick at the mouth, but as soon as somebody come back to them, it's like, I can't believe you said, like, nah, man, we passed that. We passed that, bro. Like, you can be all kind of mad at me if you want to, bro. We passed that, man. You with your policies and your rhetoric, like, I don't care nothing about that, man. You can go roll down and play the stairs, so I like you.
Hey, what do you think about Gavin Newsom with all his posts lately?
Love it. Absolutely love it. 100% love it, man. That's what we need, man. Stop trying to take the high road with these people. We passed that point. Ain't no more high road in the election. Ain't no more respectability politics, bro. We passed all that, man. It is literally, I saw a video today. Somebody said we on a dirt road right now. We need people that can get down here and get dirty and get in the mud. If you ain't willing to get down here and get dirty and in the mud, get on out the way and let somebody else do it. Maybe we can build the road back to respectability again and get back to what it's supposed to be with decorum and all that stuff. But right now we fighting. Ain't no decorum in the fight. I done been in the cage. We don't have that much decorum. You may get a handshake in the beginning, but after that, it's somebody trying to come out on top.
And I think that's what's again, like what the country, to me, what the country is like there's a bully that was walking around picking on all these kids, right? Mm-hmm. And all the kids are gay, all the letters, right? LGBTQ, whatever. All those kids had been getting picked on, and all the non-bullied big fellas, I ain't that small either. But we've been sitting here being like, you see what I see? Yeah,
exactly.
And then all these bullies, and they're all on the news and talking all that mess and everything. And now finally, we have Cliff Cash, we have Bernard Taylor, we have Russell Cleveland, we have us, we have all of us who ain't afraid of.
They thought they had a monopoly on bullies and didn't realize there's bullies everywhere.
You know what I mean?
They just bullies on the other side, man. And there's people that want to stand up to bullies too. So
let me explain something to you. My father grew up boxing in the streets of Cuba, and he taught me everything he knew. And then I joined the military. You think I'm afraid of you?
Oh no, man. Like I said, I don't know what these. I'm still baffled at some of the things and takes that I see on TV whenever I do watch TV. And again, that just lets me know a lot of people ain't been in altercations in their life. That's all that is.
Right. And it's funny how there's a lot of people we were talking about this earlier. There's a lot of people on social media that be talking all kinds of mess. And then I get to see them in real life. And you see how humble their voice gets. And you see how they don't, like, oh, wait a minute. I thought you were Mr. Mega. I don't even have to say anything.
No.
I just get to look down and be like, yeah, what now?
You look small on the screen. What happened?
It's always fun for me. I wish I could just record reactions, like when people's eyes get big and it's like, you're a little bit bigger than I thought. I say, yeah. I don't know what you thought, but I don't like I said, I don't know what kind of politicians you used to dealing with, but I'm not one of them.
No, we there now. You could, and this is the disappointing thing. We're having to deal with Trump for the simple reason that we have one black president. We got one black president, and you guys lost your mind. Think about that.
100%. 100%.
And then when you push us to the limit, because trust, that's where we are. We're at the limit. I'm tired of seeing poor kids, not educated, supposedly not qualifying for jobs. We're supposed to be the best country in the world. Why we got to go everywhere else to get our jobs filled? And I'm not even talking picking apples. I'm not talking picking strawberries. I'm talking building tomorrow. The technology jobs, the film jobs, the media jobs, plumbing jobs, electrician jobs, all those jobs are people aren't being qualified to fill those jobs. And especially the technology jobs, you guys have no idea how much those jobs pay. You have no idea. So this is my story. I came out here because I wanted to work in technology and all that stuff. And now I haven't had a full-time job in 7 years. I came here because I thought I was going to make money, and then I was going to start my own little Cuban restaurant, and then I was going to do something else, and I'm going to do something else, and I was going to build little companies and start making jobs for people. But because apparently I'm lazy and stupid, now I don't have that momentum that it takes to go and get that bag. I don't have the momentum to start a Cuban restaurant, and I can't go to the bank. A brown dude, no job for 7 years and no money in the bank. They're not going to give me they're not going to give me money for no restaurant. They're not going to give me for not one sandwich, not one. So when we're telling you, instead of blowing up countries and mistreating people over there, all the money that it takes to blow up some shit that was in Iran just the other day. You know how many books, you know how many computers, you know how much internet, you know how much all that stuff could have been making, all of that could have been leveraged to making better Americans.
Absolutely.
Period.
Absolutely. 100%.
Y'all need to stop voting against your interests, son.
We'll see, man. We got opportunity next year. We'll see if people are a little bit more enlightened.
Yeah. Hey, Mike, you got anything else? We've been going for almost 2 hours now. You got anything else?
I'm glad to see that a man like Bernard Taylor is in my community.
Tell him.
I'm tired of seeing people that want to suck the life out of you, want to say that, oh, no, everything's going to be okay. You know, the economy is good. Like the economy is not good. I got a wife and 2 kids, and the economy is not good. We talked about this before in another podcast. A VCR salesman used to live comfortably and go on vacation and have 2 houses or 2 cars and be okay. And that is not the case. You need 3 jobs. You need both people to work. You need your kids not to maybe go to college, but need to work and stay home and, you know, support everybody. That's just got to go. And we need people like Bernard Taylor here handling business on behalf of us, because he knows what it's like to be us, because he is
Absolutely.
us.
100%, man. I appreciate you guys for having me on, giving me an opportunity to be on your platform.
Have we covered everything? Do you need to get anything else off your chest?
I think we done hit everything, man. If I'll leave you guys with nothing else, please continue doing what you're doing, man. We need as many voices out there pushing these messages and trying to educate the folk as best we can.
If people wanted to find you out there, where can they get you? Where can they catch up to you?
Oh man, please go anywhere on social media and type in Bernard Taylor for Congress. I'm there. Also, please go to my website, bernardtaylorforcongress.org. You can sign up to volunteer to do many things. If you're in my area, you can sign up to Canvas. Even if you're not in the area, you can sign up for things like phone baking and social media blitzing and all those different things. And also, if you got a couple dollars to spare, please consider donating. Every dollar is very, very much appreciated. Again, we are a completely grassroots campaign. We're building this thing from the ground up with blood, sweat, and tears. And we're going to try to make a difference and try to make a change and bring much needed change to Florida 21.
Tell them. Sir, you have a fan in me. If you need anything from music videos to shit talking on the internet.
Hey man, that video was fire. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. That thing was fire, man. Y'all did your thing on that one, man. 100%.
That was in Stewart, man.
Yeah, that was good.
Y'all keep up the good work,
man.
It's about that time school letting out, so I got to go get the little one.
Appreciate you.
All right, thank you for taking time, man.
All right, man. Y'all have a good day.
You too.
You too.